That's my humor. Listen, we're going to focus a little bit on BC though, because BC has some pots. We had Jonathan Kay we interviewed. You went and watched him at the theater there, and he said as bad as Canada is in some areas, BC is they're wondering if we're okay out here. And this is Eby now talking about. We'll just play a little clip here talking about he's going to pull these ads here, and this has to do with he got some attention for forestry here.
For the sector, on the advertisements, we've committed to the federal government that when the time comes to be speaking directly to Americans, we'll do it in partnership with them. We will not be running the ads by ourselves. We'll make sure that we're in line with strategy going forward. And that is a recognition on our part.
Okay. This is funny because the ads I thought were supposed to get the US's attention. But what he just said is that because the Liberals are going to work alongside him, he'll pull the ads. So what was he actually attempting to do? It seems like he was trying to get our federal government's attention, and it had nothing to do with the US, and that he really didn't think he was going to get a whole lot of anything done that way. This is Eby in his finest. Eby is weak. We are the laughingstock of the entire country, and outside of the country. There are a couple of national associations that I belong to. We've got the presidents of these associations calling, our BC leads and basically saying, what is going on in BC? What is happening there? This is just another example. Eby is an activist, and Eby is aimless. And this should have been, we as MLAs, when I was still, at the Legislative Assembly, we were talking to Eby about trying to get a softwood lumber deal. We were talking to Horgan about trying to get a softwood lumber deal. And Mike DeYoung was sitting there as the one who last got a deal done. And he said, it took me 4 months to get that deal done. And, literally, this government has sat on their hands for the last 10 years and has not enacted anything on behalf of our forestry industry. And it was intentional. I know you and I go back and forth on this all the time. Watch what a government does, not what they say. They say that they are for the forestry industry, but this government has not done anything to support the forestry industry in any way, shape, or form, including they have not actually been petitioning on behalf of the softwood lumber industry over the course of the last 10 years.
And I've done tons of interviews in forestry long before Trump was elected, and including the forest minister, Brenda Bailey, when she was jobs minister. And I read her jobs plan there, and it didn't even mention sawmills in there, and asked her that question. She said, well, we're focusing on value add. And I said, well, isn't a 2x4 value add? Because you don't add any value, you stick it in a wall, it's a done, right? You build houses, right? What more are you doing to that 2x4, 2x6, 2x8? It's a finished product. There is no value to add to it. And I said, there's little attention to sawmills, and I talked to Eby about it too, and their biggest thing is that they can't get access to fiber. And Canfor said BC is uninvestable. And, that's AP planers, and that's been said over and over. And I've got this article that we just put up here. And here's a recent investigation published by the Tyee shows that big forestry companies, Canfor, Interfor, and West Fraser, were investing billions south of the border well before Trump initiated the trade war. So this has been going on. This is 10 years of neglect of forestry.
Absolutely. When I was meeting with forestry companies, they would talk about the billions of dollars that they were getting or that they were taking across the border. And they would talk about all the other investments that they were making outside of BC. Why? Because BC's stumpage and BC's, fiber control was outlandish. And, we had the old growth initiative and report. We had, the indigenous rights and literally, forestry companies are sitting on their hands and they cannot move in BC. So they are going elsewhere because they have to make a buck. And so the US has opened up their doors all, wide and they're going down south and opening up plant after plant after plant so that they can actually, make money.
And that's played out. When I interviewed the head of Kofi too, 10,000 job losses in 2 years. This is prior to Trump, and then just now we're talking about another 2,000 with the trade war. Forestry's, according to Rustad and Falcon, was in shambles long before Trump showed up on the scene. And this is all through policies of the NDP. And when I talked to one of the industry insiders, he said that they are closely aligned with Stephen Guilbeault and basically said, don't cut trees down in British Columbia. So
yeah, and I want to have like a bell every time we talk about investment dollars that are being deployed somewhere else. We need to have like a ring the bell.
yeah.
This is another example of exactly that, where we have 4 companies that are all investing down the States and are not investing in Canada.
Canfor, one of Canada's greats. BC's great. Canfor is a British Columbia company.
Yeah, and this is not about them not wanting to be here. They want to be here. All of the companies that we've mentioned want to be in Canada, but we are not competitive, and we do not have a formula, that will help to make them money. Instead, we have bureaucracy that slows them down and introduces so many risk factors that they simply cannot find it tenable to invest those billions of dollars that are required.
Well, I interviewed the forest minister at that time, Bruce Ralston, and then one of the company executives. And I said, are you guys at the same meeting? Because you're saying different things. And one would say they're lying, the other one would say they're lying. And I said, well, shouldn't we fix this, right? Because obviously you're not attending the same meetings because you come away with different understandings. And the thing is, they have control of their own purse and they decide where they go, and they say BC is uninvestable. That is their words and their ability to control their own purse, right? That's their thing, and they've shown where they're going. They show you what they're doing, and then you can be right all you want, BC NDP, or you think you're right, but at the end of the day, it's their money.
Yeah. It's their money, and the economy is the great tattler.
And then this is the big problem in BC right now that I think, according to David Eby, he said that courts promised them it wouldn't get out of control. Turns out, let's play the second clip. I don't think we need to play the first clip. Let's play the second clip because I think the second clip kind of says it all here.
Currently with that situation, what would you like to say about that decision recently?
Thanks. I know this is a crucially important issue for many people who are here at the First Nations Leadership Gathering and around the province. The court decision that was rendered has created some uncertainty about 150 private property owners and their title in Richmond, and business owners and their title in the claim area. And so for our part as government, we need to ensure that there is clarity about the fee simple ownership of property. It's the basis of a lot of work that happens, a lot of economic activity that happens in our province. It's basic for families. But at the same time, we also need to recognize that our forebears politically displaced the Cowichan people from a plot of land unfairly and unjustly. These are the challenges and the balance that we need to find going forward. I hope that we're able to reach resolution through the court process of the injustice that was done to the Cowichan people, and at the same time ensure that we have clarity and protection of private property rights in the province. This is a challenge, but it's certainly not impossible. We've done it before on Haida. We do it regularly through treaty, and I do believe that there is a path forward here for the province, but those two elements need to be addressed.
And follow up.
That's good.
This is so scary. That comment is so scary. And again, like, he is not saying that, he needs to ensure that those titles are secure. And he is wrong in that it only threatens the title of those individuals. There's already been 3 other court cases that are all threatening other fee simple titles. So it's he knows this. This is his agenda. This is what he wants. That's why he's actually acknowledging the Haida as the example of how to do this. I'll just remind all of the listeners, the Haida is actually the one where they actually received title. So they did not protect fee simple lands. Fee simple lands were given to the Haida, and now Haida have those titles. So this is not. This is very scary, and Eby doesn't care. And I think that we need to take that very seriously and think through what the implications are here, because this is sending shockwaves through the business community, shockwaves through the financial community, and everyone's scratching their head asking, like, what are you doing in BC?
Yeah, Eby's, what he said there, I'm not sure if it was in this clip or the other clip now, their clips are running together for me. The clip where he said that the courts promised him that they wouldn't go after the private lands, and that he's surprised that's why he didn't inform the landowners, because the landowners just woke up one morning and found out that like they couldn't fight for their own land or anything, so they were just informed one morning that their title was in jeopardy. And there's already talk about banks not lending and stuff like that, and Eby's saying, well, I haven't heard that, but I haven't seen that. But when you do a mortgage, the bank asks for title, because you don't get the title back until you pay off the mortgage, right? So what title are you going to give the bank? So why would they give you money? Do you know what I mean? Like, so if you go to the bank, you're supposed to give them a title. That you give the title, and then they give you the money and then you get it back once you pay off the loan. So, of course, there's uncertainty, and I did talk to Brenda Bailey about this uncertainty. I think he's opened up a can of worms that he's going to have a lot of trouble putting back. Like Pandora's box, he's opened it up, and he's empowered this, and it's going to be a huge mess. And I don't even think something. He does not know what he's done, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he understands the impact of it, and he's trying to hum and haw there, but he's caused this. And I did an interview with Jeff Moyse, the Aboriginal lawyer there, 31 years serving 6 governments in BC, and we went through the Haida decision, and like you said, there's title transfer there as well, and they have a contract that kind of like, but he said, I don't know how that contract holds up. But this calls into question the legitimacy of the Crown, because the Crown is who awards the properties, right? So the only recourse right now is for people to sue the Crown, and it sounds like like people are going to start fighting back. And what are they? These properties have a cloud over them right now, and
this is messy really fast, really, really fast. The Richmond owners were not given the right to actually fight because they weren't informed that this was at stake. I don't know how the court gives Eby assurance, so that's a weird one.
That's puzzling for me.
Doesn't give assurance, so that's like them determining their outcome before they determine the outcome. I don't know how genuine that statement is, but I would disagree with one thing you said, Jim, and that is I do not for 1 minute think that this is not part of Eby's plan. Eby has this ideology and activist, thinking that is a little off-putting and off-kilter. It's not like even the Indigenous bands are not in agreement. The Musqueam are one of the ones, and the Tsleil-Waututh or the Tsawwassen are the other, that are going to actually appeal this decision. So they're not even in agreement as to who the lands were gifted to, and when and why and how, and who uses them. Remember, the Cowichan use this as like a summer, like a camping spot.
Fishing.
Like this is like fishing. Like, well, the Musqueam said that they fish there too. So I don't know which one gets it. Like, this is a mess, and it's a mess between the Indigenous tribes. It's a mess between, tribes and the government. It's a mess all the way around, and it's going to take years to figure out. And in the meantime, the taxpayer is the one that's going to be caught in the middle.
Well, the landowner there too, because you can't sell it. Like, because Eby said in one of the press conferences there, he said that, you can still sell your property for what? Pennies on the dollar? How much? Like, who's buying it? Like, why don't you buy it? Because I think if Eby wants to give assurances to the people in Richmond, he should backstop it. He should backstop the mortgages and backstop their property value right now. But he won't do that, right?
He can't. It's almost $100 billion that would bankrupt the provincial government. So there is no solution other than they make laws to reverse things like DRIPA and like the Haida decision. Those are the two that the justice used as her, as her rationale for why she should give title to the Cowichan. Those are her two, and those are both Eby's and Eby's government. So while Attorney General and while Premier, he has done both of these things.
Yeah, and that's what the lawyer says. Jeff Moyes said too that that has to be taken away. The UNDRIPA and DRIPA, those things have to go. He said that is because it's not required. It's not in our constitution. It is just something that the David Eby and the NDP have decided to adopt.
Agreed. Agreed. And again, in the debate in the Legislative Assembly when DRIPA was ratified, the assurance was given that this would not have anything to do with property rights, and yet we have justices that are using it for property rights. So, or for justification for property rights. So we have to unwind these things and put laws in place that protect property holders.
I don't know when one of the users or viewers is saying it's not live. It is live, but hey, not sure what you're talking about. But it's an hour 10. We usually go about an hour. And again, it's been great as usual. I do thank you, Renee, for the time. And I'm sure we'll recap the budget next week. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Like, we'll have it tomorrow morning on the Really Big Show as well. We'll dedicate the show tomorrow morning on the as much as we can. Like our Really Big Show, sometimes it's 2 hours now. There's so much stuff to get through. It's just crazy, right? We could probably talk all day. But again, I thank you, and I thank you for watching Now Media.